Okay, great. Well, now we're actually going to get started. Thanks for everyone who's logged in, and for those of you who've just got into the call or WebEx, again, I'm very excited to bring to you guys Sandy Pink. Sandy is the CEO and founder of Venture Forward. The founders of Venture Forward have been granted hundreds of patents, including marketplace successes such as Tide, Buzz, Ultrasonic 10, Swiffer WetJet, Cascade Action Packs, and a whole lot of products that you're probably either using in your kitchen or bathroom or automobile or a number of other appliances in your daily life. I'm really happy to have Sandy on the line, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass everything over to Sandy. And Sandy, I'll hand the session over to you now.
All right. Well, thank you, Shelley. We are, as Shelley said, I'm the president of Venture Forward, and we're affiliated with a larger group that's called IFR, the Ideal Final Result. It's actually an international group of other inventors. Just give you a little background on what I do. We really work in the field of innovation and creativity and knowledge systems. I'm a certified knowledge engineer. My background was with Procter & Gamble. I spent 21 years with Procter & Gamble up until 6 years ago. I took an early retirement in order to found Venture Forward. And since then, we have been working to help other companies and individuals take their ideas to market. Some of the inventions that I've worked on in the past were on this list. As Shelley mentioned, we have a number of patents within Venture Forward. My other partner, named Tom Hortel, and I together have about 150 patents between us, if you look at all the international patent filings. Tom is the inventor of Tide Buzz. I'm the inventor of Swiffer WetJet. One of the inventors, I would say. There's many inventors. The main inventor, at least, it was named on the original patent. Tom is also the inventor of a product called Dry L. My most recent patent is one called Cascade Action Packs. It's a 2-in-1 pouch that is used in the dishwasher. One of my ones that it's not a patent, but it's one of my greater inventions, is I also am the one that designed the scoop for all the detergents, and they continue to use it even to this day. This is the original filing on Swiffer WetJet, and if you own one of these, you'll notice that it doesn't look the same as the original patent. This patent was filed back in 1998, in fact, but it has actually become a billion-dollar industry. The reason we call it the $2 million mop is because originally the original prototypes actually cost $2 billion. So, but it was actually a good expense because now it's bringing in about $1 billion a year. Entire industry and an entire new division within Procter & Gamble. As I said, the most recent patent is Cascade Action Packs, and one of the things we do it within Venture Forward, and that I was using even while I was still at Procter & Gamble, was we actually used a technique that's called TRIZ, which actually came from Russia, that helped us to determine what were the areas where we could come up with the improvements. And this is the list of, there's actually 40 principles that we used, and these were the actual principles that were used in this particular patent. I'll get into that a little bit later. The big question that everyone wants to know, and this is actually what kind of got us out and forming Venture Forward, is back about 1999, before the turn of the century. Our CEO was asking the question, so where's all the innovation in this company? And my partner and I started a division or a group within Procter & Gamble that we called Visioneering. And we decided we would go and try to teach people how we were able to do these inventions and we literally put it right in the engineering section and started trying to help others invent. What we found out immediately was that we had to learn what was actually an intuitive process for us, and we had to take this knowledge that was actually tacit knowledge that we had understood ourselves, and we realized that we had to turn that into something that was more explicit. So what we did was we created these team rooms, and this is actually a picture of one of the team rooms. And we used these big 4x8 sheets of foam core board, and we started sticking Post-it notes up on the wall, and that's how we started managing these different meetings. And we thought if we could do maybe 3 or 4 good projects in a year, that would be a great accomplishment. But in the first year, we actually did 6 good projects. And in the second year, we had gotten ourselves up to 24 projects, and we were managing all these projects simultaneously using this kind of a technique. Now, since then, we are actually have courses that we teach, and this is a slide of an upcoming presentation that I'm going to be doing in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, in about 2 weeks. And we've got a new course that we call the 4 Ps of Creativity and Innovation Leadership. And we really believe that this is the precursor that you really need to want to have innovation, and you need the leadership that can drive it, and we really think that leadership is what makes the difference in the innovation process. And a part of that is trying to hold all these pieces together, and we say that you need the people, the place, the process, and the purpose, and it's bounded by the knowledge and the tools. And when you hold all those together, you can have creativity and innovation. And again, leadership is what drives it. Now, what we've learned where we were doing the work at within P&G even, and we were trying to figure out how to drive the innovation process, we found out that there was what we believe a synergistic relationship between innovation and knowledge. And really you have to have the two together in order to develop new ideas and go through all the processes that you're going to have to go through to get them to the market. Now, this is a slide as a knowledge engineer and also in the field of knowledge management. Most of you are probably aware, we start with a lot of data, which eventually becomes information that you have in your systems. But until you begin to use that knowledge and that information and data, it really you haven't learned anything yet. And it's when you start to learn and start to organize this information and put it into context that it begins to get some value. And then, eventually we call that knowledge, and at the very highest level of the, we call the knowledge pyramid, is what we call intelligent decision making. And as a knowledge engineer, part of my job is to elicit the knowledge that the experts have and turn that into actual if-then statements. So we can actually put this into a computer and we can begin to help give people a place to go to answer questions. Actually, it frees up the experts so that they can use their answer questions that are more important, and people can get the information that they need easily without having to continually bother the people. Now, I mentioned that we're trying to figure out how to get this information out of people's heads and into a place where we could use it, and we started using a lot of Post-it notes. And in the early days, computers may have looked like this, but we had a lot of Post-it notes kind of all over our computers, and then we started putting Post-it notes pretty much everywhere, and there's some great stories we could tell. We actually did a trip one time where we were on our way to Europe, and we actually Post-it noted the inside of an airplane as we were on our way. So we put Post-it notes about everywhere you can imagine as we're trying to plan and work through our projects. This is a wall. We actually have covered entire walls, and if you look in the center there, you'll see there's the light switch in the center. And once we found the foam core boards, then we found that we could actually stack the boards and arrange them in a way that we could make sense out of them to manage the projects. Now, as time went on, we started to look for ways of mapping the knowledge, and we started using a lot of mind maps. And this is one of the mind maps that we did at one point. Some of them got to be fairly extensive. And then, you know, we always was taking information and putting it onto our laptops, but this is what I call a messy desktop. It's hard to kind of find the information, and things tended to get disorganized. And that kind of helps put it into context of how I came to know the folks at TheBrain. It turned out that we were looking for some knowledge mapping tools, and we found TheBrain, well, during that process. This goes back almost 5 years ago. And since then, we have been one of the major users of TheBrain. This picture here is actually, I'll just give a little background on what TheBrain is. It's a way to organize information and put it into context. And in this case, this is a slide where in the center is media world. And what we do is we build what's called a knowledge map, which helps people to know where to find the information. A lot of people might call that a knowledge model, too. And in our model, the information that came before is up at the top. You can see my cursor up here. And then the information that came after in some way is the information below. And if there's information that's off, this information that's off on the left, we call those jump thoughts. It's a piece of information that's connected, but in some other context. And if you notice over here on this side, these are what we call siblings. They're somehow connected to the parents. So that's actually how we use TheBrain and how we lay it out. For most of you, I don't know how many of you actually use TheBrain at this point in time, but it's actually it's a great tool for organizing your information. Now we connect teams up from all over the world, and I'm going to go in and show you some actual things. What I think I'll do right now is step out and actually just we'll go right into some of the brains that I use. So I'm going to minimize this screen. And I thought what we might do to start is I'll show you, this is a seminar that I mentioned that we're working on right now. And this is I'm actually creating the slides and the information that we're going to use for this presentation in Malaysia that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And this is how I've actually organized the presentation. And in this case, this is it's the 4 Ps of innovation and creativity leadership. And it's the way we talk about this is the 4 Ps are people, place, the process, and the purpose. And we say that they're bounded by knowledge. You have to have the knowledge of how to use these, and leadership. Now, the course itself is about leadership. So when I clicked on leadership, you see that we call this whole thing the plex. It moves, and now you can see this information in a different context. And for us, when you're thinking of leadership, the things most leaders would be worried about are your vision. You would want to worry about your goals. Of course, you'd worry about your mission, and your decision making. And we say you've got to have a lot of courage if you're going to be a leader. Now, if you notice down below, as I roll over these, you'll see different notes coming up, and these are the notes that I'm using as part of this to build this presentation. And so when it comes to vision, I've added some quotes that I wanted to be sure that I cover in my lecture and presentation. So one thing, if you're you're looking for vision, then you want to make sure your vision is simple and clear, and that everyone may understand it. And actually, that's a quote that came from Washington, so that's kind of interesting. I actually pulled quotes from a number of different sources, and I've been putting those in as I have been building this out. Now, another thing is in each of the different, you can see we talk about people, and if you roll across all these, you can see people, but you can also then begin to see the interconnections between all of the pieces of information. And what's really important about the brain is it allows you to see those interconnections, and that's actually what's important about my course, is I'm trying to teach leaders that it's really about trying to hold all these pieces together at one time and really begin to understand all the connections between people, the place, okay, which is building the environment and a place where you can actually put the knowledge and the people together in one place, the process, which is how you do it. There's the tools that you use and the systems, and then of course if you're the leader, it's all about purpose. So what's the purpose that you're using? So anyway, that's a little showing you how we're using. This is the Personal Brain 4.0 in order to show or develop our course. But we also use it for other applications. So what I'll do here is I'm going to go into, we also use the enterprise version of the brain, and I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And this is a picture of the actual brain EKP. And you can see that it's laid out very similar to the personal brain, but it comes with a lot more features. And one of the advantages of the brain EKP is that it can handle an infinite amount of information. In fact, we have probably one of the larger sets of information that have been put together in one place. And then you can interconnect this with any information that is on your system. Now, the screen that I'm showing you is a screen. I mentioned earlier that we use these TRIZ tools. And a little background on TRIZ is it goes back to Russia, and in the 1944, 1945, the Russians were trying to understand how the inventive process took place. And a guy named Altshuler, he started classifying patents and trying to figure out what were the principles that were used to solve any particular problem. And the way he did it was actually he started with number one, and the first thing he found out is there was segmentation was one of the first principles that people used. And as he continued to go through the patents, he came up with a classification of how that problem was solved. And eventually he got to 40, and he expected that list would continue to grow and grow, but it has never grown. Over 60 years we've been looking for other principles, but we've only found 40. So what we've learned from that is if you know that there's only 40 principles, then you can backwards engineer. If you know the principle would be used, then you know how to solve any particular problem you would come up with. So you can be assured that there are only 40 ways to solve every problem. And now we've expanded that not only to patents, but to business literature, and we continue to look at that. Now, what we do at Venture Forward is we spend a lot of our time looking at patents. And what I wanted to show you is some patent work that we've been doing and help you understand really how to apply. I think this is probably one of the best applications of the of Brain EKP. This was a project that we were working with Mexico City, and what they wanted us to do was a demonstration project. So this is the project that we were doing as far as they're trying to connect up all of the universities within Mexico, and and build a way for them to manage their knowledge within the university systems. There's a lot of emails. So one things we can do is we can have a discussion, and as it takes place, we can actually keep track of the information as it's going in. And so this is actually some email that was sent to us that said, well, here's a bunch of different projects that you might want to select from. And so we ended up looking in what's called the alternative energy category. And in Mexico, alternative energy is pretty important because they have a pretty heavy pollution problem, and they're looking for ways to find other fuels other than fossil fuels. This was a list that we looked at. We looked at energy fuel cells and the hydrogen production, micro turbines, nuclear. And we decided we would focus on this area of energy fuel cells. So if you can see what we've got here, then you can see this is the central thought. Down below is actually a summary, and actually I can change the screen and drag it up a little bit so you can see the whole slide. But this is a summary of the pluses and the minuses of what we learned as we went through the fuel cell project. And then I'll tell you how we arrived at all this. So we had I'll move this back down here, show the Plex. So just so you know, I'll point out the point. This is the Plex, is what we call the part up above. We talked about how this information is connected. Down below is any content that we want to show. And one of the things that's really great about the Brain EKP is that every piece of information that you've added into Brain EKP is indexed, and we can we can search and find any piece of information within this, so it's already available to. So we'll get into the searching in a minute, but off to the side here is the actual piece of information that's been added and a little information about where it came from. Now, what I wanted to do was go and look at the patents that we looked at on this project. So this is a list of all the patents that we looked at, and actually one thing I can do with Brain EKP is I can open this up, and you can see that there's this is all the patents that we had looked at, so you can get a larger view of it. And then I'll go ahead and close it back up here. Come on. All right, so what I wanted to do is show you how we actually do the research. So if I go and click on any one of these patents, what I can do is, here's a patent. And immediately when I click on this patent, you can see up above is it tells me a little bit about that patent. So this patent we have already classified as it's maximizing surface space. It has something to do with membrane electrode assembly, and we're using some sort of a metal hydride is somehow connected. Off on the side here, you'll notice these are all the patents, so these are still connected to the main patent file. Down below, what you'll see is the patent, and these are actually connections to the USPTO site. So I can literally go down here and look at the patent and get the information directly from the patent. And what we're mostly interested in patents is around the claims. So if you look at the claims, right here is a claim, and if I were to start reading through the claim that's usually most important to us is the first claim. And in this case, here's something about separating a membrane, separating anodes and cathodes. So if I was interested in that, I can actually go up here and put in the word separating into the searching section. Once I get it. And in this case, we'll look at anodes. Okay, So we're going to look for separating anodes, and actually I got two S's there, so let me get rid of my other S. That's a mistake on my part. And if I click on the search, what it comes back with is, since it's already indexed every piece of information that's in my system, it's literally looking at all the patents. And so I can go through quickly and see if whether patents have to do with something with anodes or separate anodes. And here's a patent right here, which is a different patent. If I wanted to find out about that patent, I can actually click out here on the side, and it changes the context up above. And I can see that that patent has something to do with General Motors and bipolar plates. And if that wasn't interesting to me, I could continue to read down this list. And in this case, it looks like there's 10 pages of patents that I could sort through. But I could quickly look and click on each one of these and see if it was something that was interesting to me. So this is another one that has to do with bipolar plates. So I can say, well, there's something connection between bipolar plates and the anode, and that was and separating the anode, and that would make a lot of sense. So that's one of the quickest ways we use the Brain EKT to help drive our work to do our patent analysis. Now I'm going to back up here a second, and one of the things that we're able to do, and I've mentioned a little bit about Altshuler and the work that happened with the Russians in develop this technique called TRIZ, is as they were classifying all the patents, they began to realize that there were, while there were 40 principles that were used to solve every problem, there were a series of trends that were taking place. And over the years, the trends have continued to grow. When I first learned TRIZ, which goes back about 15 years ago, we thought there were only 12 trends. But today, we actually have about 36. And I can actually click up here on, I looked at the principles, but let me just give you a quick view of what the trends are. So we actually keep track of all of the trends, and we call these the trends of evolution. So you can see here, these are the main trends that we're following. One of those you might recognize is most people know about Maslow, and so we actually keep track of there's a needs analysis, and we also have we talked about knowledge. So there are knowledge trends, and if you recall, we mentioned that there were data. It goes from data to information to knowledge, and then to wisdom. And so we actually track where people are on their evolutionary scale. And so within this project that we did for Mexico, we went and looked at the trends for that particular project. And so without going into a lot of detail, I'll just walk you through quickly what we learned. And one of the things, this is actually we call this a radar plot. Some people might call it a spider diagram. But what we do is we put each of the trends that we're looking at on a different spoke, and then we look where this particular technology is for this in this development. And so this was one of the patents we looked at. Now, if you wanted to know about that patent, it's actually sitting off here. Remember that, so we could find out how that patent fits in. And of course, I mentioned that we have the link to the USPTO. Over here, we can actually have the actual PDF attached. And for us, the one thing that's most important about a patent is its picture. Every patent has a cover page and a picture. So this is actually this particular patent, and you can see that we can actually look at the patent and see what what's going on. And so evidently they're using some sort of a structure with a lot of voids in it, and so we might want to find out why that is, why those voids are there. I'm going to go ahead and close this for now and get back to what we were talking about. So that's how we created this first radar screen. Now, our theory goes that we want to get the things that are closest to the center are the things that are have the biggest chance for some new breakthrough. And so we would look to these folks that are closest to the center, and that's actually how we conduct our search out on the patent databases. So in this case, we went and looked for in the area of capillary things, and we noticed that here's a patent where we remember that structure that we looked at, where we found that there were micro-nanoscale structures being built, and also we found that there was a geometric evolution of linear construction that was taking place. So you can see the difference between the patent we had and from where we were to where we've moved. And then as we follow through these, I'll just go through these pretty quickly, you can see that the other technologies were added, and you can see each time where that patent advanced as we move through it. And as we move down through these, you'll see that eventually they added into plastics. So there's we found that they're starting to form these in a plastic structure and using injection molding type techniques. And then the last one we found was, we think was very interesting, is this is our Rolls-Royce patent. You can see up above that they're actually using jet technology to drive fuel cells. So this is at the upper limit of this particular fuel cell, and we can also see from where they were to where they are now, and we can continue to see where the next evolutions will take place. So I don't know, that's a lot of detail and technique right now to show you, but we thought I would give you at least a sense of what we do here at Venture Forward. Now, one of the other things we wanted to, actually we talked about competitive intelligence, and if you're trying to do competitive intelligence, the Brain EKP is an excellent way to track your information. One thing that you can do is you can bring your information into Brain EKP, and since it's automatically indexed, you can set up a system which we call, using a technique they call Thought Seeker, and you can actually then automatically classify each of the things that are coming into your system and see the new information as it comes in. I'm not going to go through that at this point in time. But if you recall earlier on, I talked about we use this to manage teams, and I showed you a picture of how we did that at Procter & Gamble, and actually we still use this technique. It's called displayed thinking, and actually displayed thinking comes from Walt Disney. As a little background note, Walt realized that people needed to have some way to visually interact with their knowledge, and in those days it was before the computer, and so he put it up on the walls, and actually the first time he did that was for a movie he was creating called Fantasia, and they literally, as they worked, they could put the pictures up on the wall, and that way everybody knew where they were going. Eventually, Walt turned that into a system and began to train that within Disney University, and a guy named Mike Vance actually helped to advance it. And what we've done is we've picked up those techniques and added them into our Brain EKP system, and we use this to manage all of our projects with our clients. So in our case, this would be a project. This is an old project that we worked on, but we have a number of different categories. And you can see as I roll over these categories, you can see that they light up, and it tells you that they each have a different classification. Now, the most important piece of any new team space is we build a library. Now, in this case, here's the different kind of information that was added into this library as we were working on it. And so everybody has access to the information that's important to the project, and they always know where to go look for it because it's going to be in the library. Some of our team spaces get fairly complex, and we might end up with multiple libraries. So, and you can see how they're all interconnected. Now, the other piece that this is actually came from Disney also, but we've added it into our team space systems, is you need to keep track of where you are on the project at all times. So we have an area that we call do, which means things that you need to do but you haven't done yet. And in this case, there's nothing there because I think we finished that project. Doing is the things that you're actually working on at that any given point in time, and the things that have been completed are things that are done. And then if you're working on a project and you need information to come in, there's got to be a place to put it. We have a place for new information as it comes in called input. And what people do with that information is they look for a place where to connect that. So they'll connect it to other parts of the project and make people aware of it as it comes in. And in our business, we're always looking for problems. Problems are the things that we need to know in order to come up with new innovations. So we try to keep track of our problems. Now, every project we like to build also a discussion area, and so these were some of the different discussions that we were having on this particular project, and we could actually track those pieces of information as they come in. And every project should have a project plan. This project has actually, since it's finished, the plan has been moved away. And every project also has a network of the people, usually people and companies and other pieces of information that are within a network. So we actually can track those. We actually color code these. And in our case, the stars are the people that are in our company, because they're stars. And these are the other people that we were working with. And then we also had some companies that we were working with on that particular project. So that's how we set up a team space. Then I actually have a team space that I thought I would show you. And this was an actual project that we just recently completed. And a little piece of information is we still work with our teams, and we build physical spaces where we actually still use the display thinking storyboards. Then we bring them into Brain EKP so that anyone, anywhere in the world can see what's going on. We literally just go take a picture of what's up on the wall, and then we label them and put them into the brain. So you can see these are the different things that were going on this particular project. And I can back up a little bit, and you can see that they had the same type of structure that we had just talked about. And they had a discussion area. You can see the people who were a part of that team. Also, if we click on these people, we can also find out how they relate. So these are the different organizations that they're a part of. And you can also, you really can follow out the entire network. So this was the project team. So, hey, Shelley, are you still there?
I am.
You are. I'm not sure if you had any other things that you were, how we're doing on our time. We were hoping that we would ask questions for the last 15 minutes. Was there anything else you were interested in me talking about?
No, it looks great. I think I think we've hit all sort of the main areas. I don't know if you have any other key areas or sections that you want to go into, and then we will start the Q&A in another couple minutes, and we do have some questions from the attendees. So
okay. Well, I thought of one thing that we do this for our clients, and I guess a little side note about the brain, they continue to evolve. I don't know if the audience has been around with the brain for a long time, but we've been with you guys for now over 5 years. And there's always a new update, always new things coming in. And I got to say that you guys continue to advance and keep up with the knowledge management industry and continue to add new features. And one of the latest ones is in the 4.0. And
yes, I see you've upgraded to 4.0. Very good.
Yeah. And one of the we've been asked by our clients for years to be able to show them how all the information is related. Now we have this expanded view, and this is actually a real project which we call the simulator. You can see in this case, we looked at number of patents, so you can actually see the patents that we worked with. These were the enabling technologies that drive this particular device, and you can see how they all fit together. And we also did some radar plots, and then if I wanted to expand on this, I can literally just click on this, and you can see it open up, and I could add, continue to move these things around, and add these pieces of information. So in this case, you might be wondering what's the consumer need, and so I can move them around and add that in. One of the things was that it needed the ease of mobility, and what drove this particular thing is that led them to realize that they needed a wireless link. And then, we could do the same thing here with the product benefits. If I expand that one, you can see that it opens that up. Now I just grab these things and move them around, and I can arrange them any way I want. And then what our clients like about this is then we can give them a printout or sometimes put it into a screenshot and show them how this information is connected. And I can really work with the client, just like we're doing now in a webinar, and we can agree on how we want to see this information, and then we'll either take a screenshot, or there also is a print function where we can print this out. And I understand you guys are working on some newer developments in this area, so I think this is one of your greatest new pieces that you're adding.
Great. And Sandy, we had a quick, somebody just IM'd me through the private chat, just wanted to know what a simulator is. So for a few of the attendees out there that don't actually know, I can't believe it, what exactly...
Heard of that before?
I don't know.
Well, honest truth is most of the information that we work with is confidential.
Okay.
So it's not always easy to share this information.
Right, right.
But let me see here. I might be.
Or is it in a particular industry? For instance, the automotive industry. Well, is this going to be popping up in our kitchens?
Yeah, actually, this device is a device without showing you any pictures of it, I guess, because that's probably a violation of some proprietary. But
that's right. We don't want to get you in any trouble.
It actually senses signals from the brain. Using some sort of a pickup mechanism, and you wear this thing like a little helmet, something like an EEG that would sit on your head, and it measures those signals, and then it basically goes through a processor and sends back information to the brain and actually stimulates the brain. And people tell me that this is helps them become more creative and more innovative, and actually there are some devices out there on the internet that you might see that are similar, but that's different from this device. That's probably as much as I can tell you.
So you're mapping out brain waves in the brain.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of brain. This is the human brain in this case.
Right, absolutely.
And this thing actually, as it stimulates, it actually moves, the neurons in the brain. So it gives you a kind of the euphoric sense. It's kind of neat. So anyway, that's a project we were looking at and mapping it out. If I wanted to, I could literally go look at the patents where this technology is being used. So in the patents, this would be public knowledge that we could use. And if I click on that, it actually took me to a different place. So up here it goes. So I can actually, this is the actual patent that is one of those patents that we were looking at. And again, then I would go back and look at the claims. I would look for information that was important to me. I might go back to, put this in Bring EKP. I might search for certain terms, and I would continue to build my map. So that's actually how we do our work. So hopefully that answers that question. Actually, this is a good time. I think we're into question and answer time.
Yeah, I think we are, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Q&A. And for those of you, we are, due to the volume of attendees on this seminar, We are accepting questions through the chat and Q&A panel, and some of you have already chatted in your questions. Go ahead and get those questions in, and we'll try and take as many as we can. I'm going to start off with a question from Bill regarding audience segmentation of Brain EKP, and I guess the question a couple people had asked Sandy is as far as how many different user groups do you have in your EKP, and do you sort of segment, do different people who are going into your different areas in the brain have different levels of access control and permissions to your thoughts?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Actually, it's actually one of the biggest advantages of using the brain EKP. So this is really an enterprise possibility, I guess you would say. It's what part of what I think separates the brain EKP from everyone else. But since we're an enterprise user, we actually control every single user, and we have a section in here called properties, and this is the Mexico project again. And we can actually we have what we call groups and individuals. So here we have a section that talks about the groups that can have access to this, and then we can also, in the same section, assign individual users. So every piece of information that's in the brain EKP has to have some right or privilege. So the first rule is that the person who puts it in owns that piece of information, and they're the ones that have to give anyone else access to that. Now, what we do with our teams, and I guess part of it we've had as many as 20 teams working at one time, and I guess the most individuals we ever had at one time was up about 100. And now the way the brain's set up is it's set up for simultaneous users and non-asynchronous users. And you have to buy a certain number of licenses in order to allow that to happen. So we do have some limitations on our side. But so you can have as many simultaneous users as you have licenses for. And we've had multiple people working on multiple projects all at the same time. And because of the user priorities and preferences, no two projects, those people cannot see the other project, and that's actually one of the advantages. So we can have multiple projects all working at the same time. Now, we've had users working. We've done our actual meetings where we had people in Europe and in Asia and in South America and the United States all working at the same time. There is a real advantage to what I call asynchronous projects, because we have people working in different parts of the world and they all work at different times. So everybody always has access to the information they need at the time they need it. Occasionally, we do need to have meetings where everybody's on the same in the same meeting, and we'll schedule those. And when you're working on international projects, that can be somewhat difficult. But we'll set up a webinar similar to what we've done today, and we'll work with the teams that way. I don't know if that answers the question. But
no, that's great. And then there's just a quick follow-on question, then I'm going to move on to some other questions. Bill then did ask if for personal brain, is there a way of filtering to accomplish similar results? And I will let everyone know that Brain EKP is designed for mass authoring and setting up n-tiered levels of access, control, and permission. But within your own personal brain, you do have several filtering options, including filtering by time and also setting up private thoughts. And that private thought setting is also very helpful for then publishing your brain to HTML. That way, if you have thoughts that are sort of out of bounds for people and you want to still publish your brain, do that HTML export. You can do a few interesting things in personal brain as well, and that's something that we can cover on our Personal Brain 101 sessions that happen every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, actually, I actually do use some of that.
Oh, okay, that's right, because you're a Personal Brain user as well, and you can import Personal Brains into Brain EKP, and I myself also, like Sandy, have my own Personal Brain where I have all kinds of crazy thoughts and connections going on, and then we have our own EKP here at TheBrain, similar to the way Sandy is using both products.
Right, and then this actually is an example because this is that course again I'm putting together for Malaysia, and the things in red are my personal thoughts. So when I actually publish this to that particular group as their materials they're going to get at the end of the course, these red personal items will not be included. So that's how I keep it separated. And, they're going to be there's a whole different section in here because we have a course section and then we have a bunch of tools. So there's actually a process section, and you can see I have letters from other people who have been sending me information that I'll also keep private as I'm doing this work. So.
Okay, we won't make you click on that thought.
Yeah, I won't click.
You're off the hook today.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And we have a question from Jonathan. It's kind of a more conceptual question in sort of how you construct a brain and thought and knowledge model. And the question is, do you find it useful or confusing to also create thoughts as action or process statements instead of just as content statements?
Wow, actually turns out that's a fairly advanced question, and let me go over to this simulator and let me explain something.
We're back to the simulator.
Yeah, Here we
go.
I'm going to switch to a different view.
Okay.
And we'll go back into normal view, and then what I'll do is I'll go up here and we'll go back to the simulator itself. So. One of the things that we are able to do, which this is actually the reason I say this is an advanced question, because one of the things the brain allows you to do is talk about why the connection exists. And in this case, if you see me roll over that, this simulator satisfies some consumer need. So this is a verb, is the way they, as I understand the question. So we can connect things by the action, the verb, and the way it takes place. So. Now, if I drill down in this, I'll see that here's the consumer need. So in this case, these are needs. So we actually added and then there's an improvement here, and this one is a need. So consumers need compact size. Consumers need ease of mobility. Consumers need ease of use. So, and I can continue to follow these out, and we will add these connections in as they make sense as we're going through the process. So that's actually one of the more advanced features of the brain, but it's actually added in as part of 4.0, and it's actually, I think, it's actually called synaptic connections. And for anyone who wants to understand mind mapping, it's one of the more advanced techniques. So we do use it, and both Personal Brain and Brain EKP support it.
And I would just add to that, I think one of the advantages of the brain's sort of associative network-oriented display is that ability to capture processes. So, yes, you can create a brain which simply has links to relevant documents and, those documents on, say, into the patent database or so forth. But what also is meaning to add these higher level principles and perhaps action items really does give that complete context, the type of connections that you'd probably have in your own head as you're thinking of a project or idea. So that's really where the power of the visual linkages come in. And here at TheBrain, when we work with our larger enterprise clients, we do actually try, in addition to, of course, getting the right amount of clicks and thought structures for the documents themselves, to visually capture that process, whether it's sort of a call center or IT support desk or new product development group. The structure of the brain itself can sometimes have more meaning and value than the information that it points to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and so Rick has a question.
Yes.
Are there any practical limits to the size and number of thoughts that we should stay below? Would 20,000 thoughts be too many? And I guess I can speak to the scale scalability, I can speak to that question, Sandy. There really are no limits in terms of number of thoughts and connections that you can have within both the personal brain and brain EKP, and that's really the advantage to scalability. Now, in terms of how you want to map out your brain, you certainly probably wouldn't be the most usable brain to put all 20,000 thoughts, say, under your name, or so that gets to be a question of how to sort of subcategorize and display the information. But in terms of actual number of thoughts, there are no limits.
Right. Well, actually, I think it's another one of the, if you're interested in knowledge management and knowledge engineering as a field, we talk about classification and taxonomy. One of the things that you might have 20,000 different thoughts, but a lot of those thoughts are related. So that's part of what we call the taxonomy. So you might want to try to think about how those connect, and the brain's an excellent way to map those out and see the connections. Also, we have fairly large knowledge bases. In fact, our EKP is probably up around 20,000 thoughts. One of the advantages of the brain is that its searching capability, and especially in EKP. And I'll switch back to EKP real quickly. And we talked about earlier is when we do a search, and I can actually put in almost any term and try to come up with something. So we'll put in something about schools. And now, if I would have had a classification already about it, it would have popped up here, and I would have just gone straight there. But if I click on it, what I can immediately see is, well, there is one that's capitalized, so I can see that, but I can find anything that was already classified. So I already have that information. And if I look down below, then I can start to look at any of the pieces of information that have that word in it. And as we talked about before, I could go something that's not proprietary here. I could click on finding one that's not proprietary. I can click on one of these thoughts, and again, this takes me to a piece of information. So this is actually a report that has something to do with high schools, and it came out of this organization. So I can immediately see that, and I know right away if I'm interested within this organization or other reports that had something to do with that. So, and if that wasn't interesting to me, then I would just basically go back and click on the search again and continue my search. So that's how it works. So what the brain EKP does for you is it allows you to search and then reconnect things very quickly. And what's really important are the connections and how they relate to other pieces of information. And that's really where the knowledge comes from. So I don't know, does that help?
That is very helpful. And I guess it's kind of related to what we've been talking about, Sandy. There's a question on how you manage your brain EKP and sort of how you add new ideas, and how did you get all that stuff into your brain?
Sorry, somebody interrupted me. Could you say that one more time?
Sure. Question about how you manage and maintain your brain. It's sort of a two-part question. First of all, how did you get your brain set up? How long did that take you? And how do you add new thoughts and maintain your brain EKP?
Let me go ahead and switch. Basically, the way the brain starts off is kind of like a baby with a clean slate. And then we add information in more than one way. So the simplest way is, actually this gets into one of my general beliefs, and maybe I'll do it this way. I'm going to switch back to, let me see where I wanted to go here. I'll switch to a place that I got to think of where I want to go. Let's say that I was working on my cool tools, and I wanted to categorize that somehow. I could literally just pull a new thought up this quickly, and I would just put the name in, and then I could, if I didn't have a category for it, I could call it an untyped thought, and I could literally add it in that quickly. Maybe a better way to show it might be using the personal brain. So let's go. I'll go out here to the project that I'm working on right now, and let's say that I just wanted to add in a new category, which was, we'll call it test. And that literally, also I can build types for these also, but in this case, it's as simple as just adding it in. Now, I decide that maybe I want that or don't want it. I can go back and I can get rid of that, so I can forget that thought if it turns out it's something that I didn't want to use. Now, another way to add information, which is your drag and drop feature. So, here's a PowerPoint that's sitting out here. And now I keep my personal brain parked on the side here all the time. So as I'm doing my work in the day, I'm always looking for new pieces of information in this. I decided that I wanted to add that piece of information. First thing I would do is say, well, where do I want to add it? And let's say that I was going to add this piece of information to the purpose for some reason. So what I would do then is just go out here and grab this piece of information and literally drag it right into my brain and just drop it, and there it is. It's sitting right there. So I can bring that up front, and there's that piece of information. Now, in personal brain, that piece of information is linked where it sits on my computer right now, but later on I might decide I want to bring it into the brain so I can actually click on that piece of information, and I can actually move it right inside the brain. So you can actually have your information connected all across your brain and within your existing computer or network that you're in. But you can also have it brought into the brain. So there's different ways to manage your information. So in this case, I'm not going to keep that thought in here since I'm actually using it. So I'm going to go ahead and forget that again. Now, one of the other features, there's so many features in the brain, it's incredible, is that you can do what's called a spider. And a lot of times we'll go out to websites. It's a different kind of spider than the one we talked about before, but the brain has a spider function, and you can go to a website and literally spider every single link that's sitting on a website. It's a very impressive thing to do, and it can be it can be very large. So some of these connections, if you're looking across the entire World Wide Web, you could literally end up with 1 million different connections. So and you can bring that information in as you go through it. You can decide the things that are important to you and pull those in if you'd like. Now, actually, I believe that as a knowledge engineer, that the most important information is the information that comes from the experts. And so we really encourage people to make connections instead of using what I call data mining techniques and literally just pulling random information into your brain, because what we want is information in context. And yeah, there is a context on existing structures, but it's really more valuable if it comes from some person who can make a decision of whether it's relevant or not relevant to your particular work. So I think that relevance is the most important thing. What we want is information in context. So that's my philosophy.
Right, and then just to add to that, I think all those same easy-use drag-and-drop features in Personal Brain are also available in Brain EKP, but when you drag-and-drop documents, you're actually uploading them to your web server. So,
right.
So it does make it easy to capture new ideas. On the EKP end, you can also dynamically connect to relational databases through JDBC, and we also have the Bot Seeker automatic categorization and indexing module. Now, Sandy, we had another question from Ellen, and it was a thought that she saw in your brain that she's curious about, so we're going to put you on the spot here. One of your thoughts was called Knowledge Map, and we were curious as to what that thought contained and how you use it, and if we're veering off course or entering into proprietary information, just push us back. But
go ahead. Well, as a knowledge engineer, knowledge manager, most of my work is knowledge maps. So
okay.
Let me see where that leads us. So we got knowledge modeling is one of the ones that would pop right up, and that actually is a knowledge map. And this would probably, I don't know where she saw that, but we would have a knowledge model. Now we might type in knowledge map, and
I think it was in your personal brain.
Was it?
She referenced. Maybe
Well,
it was in that
probably,
4Ps brain.
Yeah, in this case, then I was. I'm sure that I was thinking about using it probably for my lecture in Malaysia, and part of what we're going to talk about is knowledge, and again, knowledge is information in context. And I don't know if I saw the knowledge map here, so I'm not sure where she saw it, but I can believe that she could have seen it because we've got
right.
knowledge maps all over the place. Now, if I wanted to find it, though, that's what I was pointing. I mean, we can see if I actually have that search term in here, so I can go ahead and type knowledge. And actually, I don't have a knowledge map in this particular one. So.
Okay, well, maybe it was an EKP. And just to clarify, in terms of knowledge map, as Sandy said, really you can think of the brain structure as a knowledge map, and that's kind of an interesting way to approach it. And as a knowledge engineer, that is something that Sandy and Venture Forward does do with their clients, in that the thought structure itself and the links that you create is really that map of your internal knowledge, whether it's your own knowledge that's sitting within your head or it's within a sort of group brainstorming session. And it's by looking and navigating through that knowledge map that leads to innovation and sort of these discoveries that would otherwise be missed in standard lists and search displays.
And actually, our job, primary job as a knowledge engineer, is what we call knowledge acquisition, and that's getting the information out of the, quote, expert's mind and into some other structure. And the brain EKP, or brain just in general, is one of our main tools for doing that. So that's actually, as we're interviewing experts, we're mapping that information into a structure that we keep within brains.
Okay, great. Well, we're sort of running out of time, so if there are any sort of must-answer questions, feel free to IM, but I think we're going to end the session fairly soon. We had one more question that I did want to get to, Sandy, and it was what area in your brain, and the question doesn't specify whether it's personal or EKP, so we'll let you decide, do you use the most? So what are some of your most frequently used thoughts, either in personal brain or EKP, that are most helpful to you during the course of your day or engaging with your clients?
Yeah, I would have to say that the thing that we use more than anything else is the search capabilities. So as you saw when you asked me a question, I automatically will just start searching. So, if I know that this is my main knowledge base, and if I had a piece of information I was looking for, I would immediately type it in, we'll say, actually I got you guys in here so I can put the brain in here. So if I was worried about the brain, you can see it pops up right here to the top thing, and I'd immediately go right to the brain. And of course I got all you guys listed, so we know who you are. I have your information down there. So in my world, my brain's open all the time. So that search is the other piece, and is one of the main features I use. And then the other piece is that drag and drop function that we talked about. So I may actually, I could have any document, or I could be out surfing on the net, and I find actually an example of. We'd have to open up another net, but I can actually be on searching on a website. Literally, there's a little icon on this side of every URL, and I can literally take that URL and just drag it right into the brain, and I automatically have connected that piece of information. So I drag a lot of information into the brain over a course of the day. Also, I guess that's another function I use a lot. I tend to use these pins a lot up at the top. We haven't mentioned pins, but we can pin any piece of information. So if the brain was something I was working on, I would pin that right up to the top. So there's the brain, and then I can drag information in, or I can search my database to find pieces of information, and if it's relevant, all I have to do is drag and connect it to it, and I've already made that connection. So that's how quickly and easily we can add information in and make new connections. So I actually keep my brain. My brains are always open, and as you can see, in my case, I've got multiple brains. I have EKP. I have multiple personal brains running. So here's 2 different brains that I've got up and running. And also I'm left over with, I'm an old, I've got my old 3.0 still running off on the side because I haven't wanted to bring that back up to 4.0 yet. So I've got brains all over the place. So I have many, many brains. If you only had a brain, right?
Right, exactly. And then I guess just to close the loop on that question, and then in addition to features, what thought, so what specific thought or area in, I guess, or maybe you're in your favorite brain, do you use the most personally?
Oh, that's a good one. In my favorite brain. Well, actually,
and if it's a private thought, you'll be off the hook. But if it's something you can share, we'd love to hear.
Surprisingly, it's the old, real basic stuff. I keep track of the websites that are important to me that I need to go to on any quick basis. I have them always at my fingertips, so that's why I keep this sitting out on the side so I can have all my multiple brains running. But if I need to pop up a website, I literally just go in here and I can look right across here and USPTO. Let's see. I do a lot of patents, so we use this website called freepatents.com, which we're going to go cheap. So there's one that you can find there. So it's always available, it's always there, and I use that probably more than anything else now that I think about it.
Okay, great. Well, Sandy, I don't know if there are any final key themes or closing notes that you'd like to make to all the attendees, and then I'd like to ask, a couple users have asked how they can contact you if they want to learn more about your methodology or seminars. So I'll let you have the final words, and then we will close the seminar for today. And I'd like to thank everyone for all the great questions, your participation, and thank you as well, Sandy, for sharing your thoughts and your brains.
Well, thank you. Well, I guess my final thought is a lot of people, when they first start using the brain, seem to be a little overwhelmed with all the information that you can connect at one time, and and it looks complex. But I guess my advice to anyone out there is what you need to do is just give it a try. You'll find that it's very easy to use. If you can try to connect up any piece of information that you can find. I've had people where they had all their pictures and they needed to put titles on pictures, and you just literally start connecting all your pictures into a brain. But you find something that's relevant to you, that's important, and just start connecting it up, and you'll begin to see the power of it, and just the. I think it's sort of one of those it changed my life. I don't know if it'll change yours, but hopefully, if you get a chance to try it out, I tell kids that it's really a killer app. I think every young child should have a brain, and as you learn, and this is probably my knowledge engineering background, but as you learn new information, you can see the context as you're learning it. And there's nothing more valuable when you're trying to teach children, also adults. So it can work for both of you. And then I guess the other question you want me to answer was how to contact me?
Right, or maybe is there a website where they can get more information on? I
think we'll post up on you're going to have this up here. We can post our website. But I'd say the easiest thing to do would be to go to our website. And our website is at, in fact, I'll put it up here on the screen here for you. So we'll just pop that in here, because we're at www.wow2now.com, and you can see that's up here, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. And this is our website, and if you needed to contact me, I would go right here to the info@wow2now.com. And also, for anybody that's there that wants to write down my personal email, I'd love to have your questions. I'd love to talk to you. So my personal email is real simple. It's just Sandy Ping, which is SandyPing, with no spaces in it, at wow2now.com. And that's probably the easiest way to reach me. So it's been a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone. And again, if anyone has any more general questions about the brain or their brain EKP or personal brain, feel free to email us at info, that's INFO, info@thebrain.com, or call our general line at 310-751-5000. And our next seminar for this week is the Personal Brain 101 that will be happening this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And I want to thank everyone for their time today, and I hope that you can utilize some of these tips and ideas from Sandy to work on your own strategic innovation and new ideas within your personal brain. So thanks, everyone, and that will conclude our session today on Inside the Mind of an Inventor. Thanks to everyone, and goodbye.